happy that you popping and they stopping. You can't happy that you packing and they lacking. You can't happy that you great and they late. You happy and they crappy. Ain't got nothing to do with you. That's a damn problem. That's a damn problem. That's a damn problem. Ain't got nothing to do with you. That's a damn problem. That's a damn problem. That's a damn problem. Ain't got nothing to do with you. That's a damn problem. Love you, bye.
Gifted with abilities far beyond the ordinary, I give you the Umbrella Academy. Does anyone wish to speak?
It was a monster.
Welcome back to my channel, y'all. So today we're gonna be doing a what to watch. This one is on Netflix and it's called The Umbrella Academy. This one is a good family movie for real. I mean, not movie, series. The the last season, I think, was the most emotional. Oh, by the way, spoiler alert. So, the last season is probably the most emotional because, like, everybody kind of realizes that their life was heavily orchestrated. And so, with that being said, it's like these are children who grew up together. Some of them had the truth about, you know, how they really came about, and some of them didn't. And then on top of that, they meet a whole nother group of, like, themselves. So, it's classified on IMDb as an action, adventure, and comedy, which it is. One of my favorite characters is Klaus. I think it is. Let me make sure. I just had it. Okay, yeah. So one of my favorite characters is Klaus because he's like a free spirit. I feel like he kind of keeps the family together. I feel like he is the one who kind of, I guess, deals with the most in a sense. Like, I don't know, y'all gotta watch it. But so Klaus is played by Robert Sheehan, and so there's a instance or a situation where all of the children like are apart, then they end up having to come back together. Klaus has been through things that ultimately caused him to become an alcoholic. And of course, when you think of like addictions and stuff, it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? You expect the worst, or you expect the worst. So with that being said, it would appear as if he's the one that's like the least responsible, the most childish, or whatever the case may be. But to me, it turns out to be that he's like the most caring, the most compassionate. Like I said, he's a free spirit and unpredictable, but you know what I'm saying, he always pops up. He kind of just has like this extra chill vibe, but it's like they treat him as if he, you know, doesn't have feelings or whatever. So let's get into the storyline. It says, on the same day in October 1989, 43 infants are inexplicably born to random, unconnected women who showed no signs of pregnancy the day before, which was crazy. Like, when you first start watching it, you're like, what the heck is going on? 7 are adopted by Sir Reginald Hargreaves, a billionaire industrialist who creates the Umbrella Academy and prepares his children to save the world. But not everything went according to plan. In their teenage years, the family fractured and the team disbanded. Now almost 30 years old, the 6 surviving members reunite upon the news of Hargreaves' passing. Luther, Diego, Allison, Klaus, Vanya, and Number 5 work together to solve a mystery surrounding their father's death. but the estranged family once again begins to come apart due to their divergent personalities and abilities, not to mention the imminent threat of a global apocalypse. So, at the end of the day, like, they're supposed to be saving the world. Number 5 is the one that brings everybody back together. Like, he's jumping in and out of portals and timelines and pretty much has been keeping up with everybody. So he ultimately brings everybody back together and tries to keep everybody together and tries to, like, let everybody know, like, hey, this is something we got to do. However, if you know about jumping timelines, you can't go back without something else being affected. So with that being the case, something was always affected. And it just seemed to be getting, like, worse and worse and worse and worse. No matter how hard they tried to save the world, it was like either it happened in a more destructible way, or it happened sooner, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, either way, the world still was destroyed. And then different other things were affected also, like on a personal level, things were being messed up. Then let me see. I just actually seen a post about this too, so I'm gonna go into that. So this is from ScreenRant.com, and it says Dark Umbrella Academy theory reveals Allison and Sloane are prisoners. So it says the Umbrella Academy season 3 ended with Allison separated from the team and Sloane nowhere to be found, and they might be prisoners of Reginald, which is the father. As it has done so far in every season, the Umbrella Academy season 3 ended on a major cliffhanger, with the Hargreaves now powerless, Sloane, which is played by Genesis Rodriguez, missing, and Allison, which is played by Emmy Raver Lampman, appearing somewhere else, and a theory suggests Allison and Sloane are now Reginald's prisoners. After dealing with 2 apocalypses, the Hargreaves encountered an even bigger threat in the Umbrella Academy season 3. With their return to their present year, which is 2019, created by Kugelblitz, and their father, Reginald Hargreaves, who was played by Colm Feore, revealed his real intentions and plans for the Umbrella and Sparrow Academies. So, in the last season, what stuck out to me was the father, which is Reginald Hargreaves. He's like going, well, for one, he's not dead. Spoiler alert. So what ends up happening is he starts to kind of like key in on Klaus. Now, mind you, Klaus is the drinker and this and that. However, every time you think Klaus is dead, he's not. Like, he's just not. So with that being said, his father ends up like training him on how to, I guess, come back quicker, you could say, revive quicker. But you kind of see a toxic parent-child relationship, even though they're not children anymore. So this goes on to say the Umbrella Academy season 3 introduced the Sparrow Academy, which I said is like them meeting themselves, but different in a way. A new team of superheroes. Reginald formed against... Oops, hold on. Let me go back. The Umbrella Academy season 3 introduced the Sparrow Academy. A new team of superheroes Reginald formed instead of the Umbrella Academy. But as the season progressed, the Sparrow team crumbled more and more. By the end of the Umbrella Academy season 3, only 2 Sparrow members were alive. Ben, who is played by Justin H. Min, and Sloane. And Allison betrayed her siblings by making a deal with Reginald, who planned on using the powers of the rest to reset the timeline. So, like I said, in season 3, you see a whole lot of what once was or could have been a good thing actually end up being something like extra toxic. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it is definitely a must see. Like, I would say a couple times, for real, because you're gonna get something different each time, especially if you key in on each character, and try to, you know what I'm saying, figure them out, or figure out the situation. So it says, who planned on using the powers of the rest to reset the timeline, even if that meant killing his adoptive children. Allison then killed Reginald and finished the timeline reset herself. But at the end of season 3, her siblings, Lila, who is played by Ritu Arya, and Ben, were seen stepping out of an elevator and into a new timeline where Reginald is the most powerful man in the world, while Allison was shown at her home with her daughter Claire and her husband from the 1960s, Ray, and Sloane was nowhere to be seen. And all this made way for a theory that suggests Allison and Sloane are now Reginald's prisoners. I didn't get that, but I would have to go back and actually pay attention to them. Each season of the Umbrella Academy has been based on one volume of the comic book series created by Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba. Season 1 was based on Apocalypse Suite, Season 2 on Dallas, and Season 3 took elements from Hotel Oblivion, but the story mostly came from the still unreleased Sparrow Academy volume. In the comics, Hotel Oblivion is a prison created by Reginald Hargreaves, and where the dangerous criminals caught by the Umbrella Academy are incarcerated. The place looks like a luxury hotel on the outside, but on the inside it's a real nightmare for even the most dangerous criminals. Now, the Umbrella Academy Season 3 included Hotel Oblivion in its story, though with major changes to this important location. Which was the crazy part, because you would think that, okay, so if you've seen Stranger Things, which I'll be talking about as well, you would know about the Upside Down world. So that's kind of what this hotel was like. It was like another part of another dimension of reality, or whatever you could say. And they eventually all end up going and fighting a lot and some more junk. And then, mind you, they're still dealing with all the stuff that they've been trying to do like this whole time. So it says, in the Netflix show, Reginald built Hotel Obsidian in 1918 at the exact spot of an interdimensional door. The hotel was built as Reginald needed access to said door, as it was key in his plan of resurrecting his wife, Abigail Hargreaves. And while Hotel Obsidian served as a regular hotel where anyone could come and stay without judgment, it kept a lot of secrets, which is true. Reginald built a special suite named the White Buffalo Room, which was off limits for everyone, as this room had a door that led to a tunnel that connected the regular world with another dimension, in which the hotel became Hotel Oblivion, and no one could leave the hotel. Hotel Oblivion kept even more secrets than Obsidian, as it housed a machine that allowed Reginald to control time and space, and in order to reset the timeline as he intended, he needed 7 of his superpowered children to get the machine going, as it drew power from the particles that gave the Hargreaves their extraordinary abilities. Although Reginald built Hotel Obsidian, it's unknown who was responsible for Hotel Oblivion, as even though it's a twisted mirror of Obsidian, it was guarded by warriors made from cockroaches, and if Reginald was the creator, he wouldn't have needed help to get rid of the Guardians, which is true. As mentioned above, one of the biggest twists in the Umbrella Academy Season 3 was the reveal of Reginald's real plans and why he needed specifically 7 superpowered children, as it all came down to gaining access to the machine in Oblivion so he could reset the timeline. Seeing how strong the bond between most of the Umbrellas was and how close Sloane and Luther were becoming, Reginald needed extra help to break the team and manipulate them, which he did try, very hard. So he took advantage of an already vulnerable and very angry Allison, The exact terms of their deal were unknown, but it might have had something to do with Allison getting what she wanted, her daughter and her 1960s husband. In the new timeline, after killing Reginald before he could finish the timeline reset, Allison continued the process and seemed to have been the only one, aside from Reginald, who truly benefited from it, as she was shown reuniting with her daughter and Ray at her home, while her siblings were left confused outside the elevator at Oblivion Memorial Park, where they also discovered they no longer had their powers. When the Umbrellas met the Sparrows at the beginning of the Umbrella Academy Season 3, there was obviously tension between both teams, but the ones who served as links between them were Luther, played by Tom Hopper, and Sloane, as they quickly fell in love. This, along with the frustration and heartbreak of not having her daughter and husband in this new timeline, led Allison to try to manipulate Luther into loving her again, which in turn made her dislike towards Sloane grow more and more. Sloane became an ally of the Umbrellas and was used by Reginald along with the rest to power the machine. But unlike the others, she didn't come out of the elevator at the end of the season, so her fate is currently unknown. As mentioned above, the exact terms of Allison and Reginald's deal are unknown, but Reginald has constantly proven that he can't be trusted at all. So it wouldn't be surprising if he also tricked Allison into something horrible, which after a while of jumping in and out of different timelines, I think Allison, she had a little bit more to lose, being that she did have a husband and a child. And so I could see why she kind of would make a deal with the dad, but at the same time, it's like she kind of already knew, like, growing up, that he couldn't be trusted, but she still chose to, you know what I'm saying, go hard for him and get mad at times when the other siblings didn't want to go hard for him. Allison seems to be the only one of the Umbrellas and surviving Sparrows who benefited from the timeline reset, which pretty much did the impossible by giving her her daughter from her original timeline and her husband from the 1960s. But this could also be a trap. Yeah, because she became like extra vulnerable, to be honest with you. So it was easier to manipulate her, which is more of the other siblings were a little bit more headstrong. You know what I'm saying? A theory posted on Reddit suggests Allison is actually trapped in Hotel Oblivion, which is now serving a purpose similar to the one in the comics by being a prison to Allison, in which Reginald apparently gave her what she wanted. This could easily and quickly turn hellish, as once Allison realizes things aren't right, she will be trapped in a hellish loop with Claire and Ray. Allison isn't the only one trapped in Oblivion's prison, as Sloane might also be there. Sloane's absence in the final scenes of the Umbrella Academy Season 3 is definitely strange and raised many questions, but it's possible that she's now also a prisoner at Hotel Oblivion. And the reason for that could be her connection with Luther, as keeping her imprisoned would allow Reginald some control over Luther and possibly the rest of the Hargreaves, once more getting them to do what he wants. So I'm going to link this article in the description below so y'all can finish reading it if you want to. But ultimately, you really do need to go check out the Umbrella Academy, because it's a good show for one. It teaches lessons, and it allows you to see the different effects. Like some of the stuff that you see that's going on now, it allows you to kind of make a little bit more sense, if you know what I mean. So anyways, that's it for this one. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you to those that keep coming back. We'll be back with another video soon. And I'm gonna do an update, because I think it's been like a couple weeks since I did just like a straight out update. But in the meantime and in between time, love y'all. and stay blessed.